Hey y'all, it's Andrew Reed with Panther Creek Mushrooms, and I've been getting a lot of requests for more strain videos. I'd kind of stopped doing them because I thought maybe you guys thought I was just trying to sell you strains constantly, and I've had a lot of people saying that they were missing them, saying that they were quite helpful. So I'm actually building an archive for the website where we're going to host every strain that we goes through a commercial trial. We're going to take weights, we're going to take pictures, and we're going to post that. And we're going to test other people's strains and our strains, and we'll put them up so that people can have kind of a baseline of how things perform in our room and how they might expect them to go in their room. And since we're doing that today, and I'm going ahead and I'm picking a new strain that we're doing, my first time ever growing this mushroom, I thought you guys might be interested in seeing it, seeing the weights and everything else. This mushroom we're calling the Beech Oyster. The reason why we're calling it a Beech Oyster, simply put, is that we found it on a beech tree out in Panther Creek State Park. I've never found oyster mushrooms on a beech tree, to my knowledge, ever. And when we did find this one, it was just a tiny, weak-looking little anemic oyster that I just happened to pick up and decided to take home and clone. As you guys may know, beech trees, through the wintertime, they keep their leaves on, and so being in a beech forest was just a really nice place that Ben and I were hiking. It was really beautiful. It was really, you know, everything's kind of stark in winter, and then you have this just pretty brown kind of leaf forest that you're hanging out in. And off in the distance, I saw this little obvious oyster mushroom, which, you know, any of you guys who've grown for a little bit, you know, that shape becomes ingrained in your brain. And so we headed down, we picked this thing, we collected a few other oysters while we were there, and brought them home and cloned them. And it's been a while since I've had this strain, I just haven't trialed it. And, because I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. I've grown a few wild oysters that I haven't really shown on the YouTubes, we'll say. And this strain is just, it's really impressed me. Sorry, I had to open the door so I could take you guys in. But why don't we go ahead and pick it? We'll pick them out. We gotta weigh them out, and we'll just make sure that we catalog all of our information. But I want to give you guys a good look. So it's gonna get a little vibrating. I've got a new little dolly I'm using to try to make things a little easier on me. So we're gonna see. We're gonna test it out for this video, and if the shaking's too terrible, we just won't do it again. We still haven't put doors on the grow rooms yet. We're still using the flaps, so come with me, come with me. So this right here, it goes up along the top of this row right here and goes all the way down. That is the Beech Oyster. I'm going to make sure to get some B-roll for you guys, so you're not just going to stare at my face. And we'll talk about it for a second, then we'll move back out, grab a couple clusters and weigh them up. Get away from the fan so it's not so loud. But all of that to say, the Beech Oyster is impressive so far by sight. We picked 2 or 3 clusters and sold them off to people or given them away to trial out and see what people think about them. I am taking one home tonight to eat it, so this will be my first time getting to eat it. We do have some weights already down on our chart. All of those are early picking weights because we picked them too early because the cold weather's had everything slow and the restaurant demand has been so high that we are just stripping the grow room constantly until we get the next 2 grow rooms built. I'm way behind on demand, so that's why we're going that way. But now to get to the oyster. This thing is kind of weird. Like, it's really weird shaped. It has the traditional oyster look, that layered look, but it ends up having, I don't know how to say it other than the cap feels like satin. Like when you touch the top of the cap, it feels like satin. And I've not really had an oyster mushroom that has that kind of, maybe satin's not even the right word, felt. Like, it's really smooth on the top, but has kind of a texture like that, like a thick texture. It's not, I'm not thinking that this is going to be a really heavy producer, but it's going to have some interesting genetics for me to play with. And we'll find out how, I've got a few mature clusters, so we're going to find out how heavy it actually does produce for people. But, well, I guess let's just get to the weight, because this thing being beautiful and all, I'll get you some nice shots to overlay me speaking. But we'll just go ahead and start picking. Yeah, it's kind of light. Like, that's a nice cluster. As you can see, I mean, it's nice and big. So if you're selling by volume like I do, it'd be a good one to go with. At least on that. This texture of these oysters, man, I look forward to eating this tonight because that is a good, like, chewy texture. Not rubbery feeling, but very chewy feeling. Alright, let me turn the scale on and see if I can get you guys on that. Alright, so we'll put this on here, and it comes out to 2.31. So that's a respectable yield. It's not the heaviest thing I've ever produced. Oh crap, guys, I gotta figure out which bag that came off of. So, for the chart. Yeah, it was bag 17. So bag 17 is producing, I gotta get this now where I can see it. Bag 17 produced 2.31 pounds first flush. And you can see we had one that we picked and sold that one yesterday at 1.23, 1.26, 0.75, 1, and 0.47. Those were when we stripped the grow room. So 2.31. Alrighty. Let's go pick another. Woo! Through the mist. Sorry, guys. Find us another good cluster. And this one came up bag 22. This is a smaller cluster. I probably could have let this go until tomorrow, but I couldn't tell where it was on the bottom. So bag 22 is 1.56. Okay, block 13 is 1.81. So we'll go 1.81. Oh, I was trying to write that while looking at the camera. I'm all kinds of unprofessional today. Okay, block 5. That's 1.25. Alright, y'all, so you can see a little bit about this oyster. Now, one thing I will say, let's go over the cons first, shall we? The cons are, it's a little underweight for me. I don't like, on my 12-pound blocks, I don't like first flushes being, you know, in the 1.2 to 1.8 area. I mean, we had one cluster that was 2.31, which is respectable. 2.31 is really respectable. I don't know how repeatable that is. I don't have another block that has anything like that on it. So I'm not entirely sure if we're going to be able to get that as a pretty consistent, constant thing. Hey, buddy. Dog, this man is taking the dog out. That's one thing. Another thing is, it gets a little orange discoloration on it. I don't believe it's blotch. There's a lot of things, I've seen a lot of blotch in my day. This doesn't appear to be a very blotch tolerant oyster. As in, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't seem like it has blotch. It grows in just fine, but it has the appearance of blotch. So either it has blotch and continues to grow, or the kind of orangey, fleshy color that it has is, I don't know. It's not as pretty on that part. Now, I mean, for the most part, You can see the box. I can pull up the box for you, but also I mean, it's got a pretty color otherwise. It's just whenever it gets that, oh, come on, focus. It has a very, you know, actually, fleshy is a good word for that. Like that feels like fungal flesh. Like that feels like meat. Which is a pro, but I don't like the underweight characteristic of it. I don't like the orange discoloration that it seems to get a lot of so far. I mean, just based on the blocks I saw, that could be because it's next to my ventilation, could be because we had a really cold spike here, could be because we had a humidity spike when I put in, I've got 24 discs running in my humidifier right now, just to kind of give it a little extra push. So, I mean, those are the cons. Pros are, so far, the smell is phenomenal. I cannot wait to eat this oyster. And that's one of my favorite things about wild oysters. Granted, they tend to have not the greatest shelf life, but they have usually some of the most insane flavor of all the oysters. And then the other side of this is, I don't know why I keep looking at it, I'm supposed to be looking at you guys. But the other part of it that I really like is the texture. That is some of the most fleshy, like that is a wall of flesh in there growing in. Like it's insane just how meaty this oyster feels. It's soft, but it's not soft like Pathfinder or King Blue where it's got that good squish to it. This is more textured, like not marbled maybe, but it feels like a good fine-grained meat kind of thing. So as far as the beech oyster goes, guys, that's all I'm going to talk about it for now. I've got a few other oysters that we'll probably start doing some videos on very soon, because you saw in there probably that we've got trials on a few different things going. So you know, if you want to give the beech oyster a trial, I'm going to have it on the website. I've got 1 jar of liquid culture of it made. Don't know if I'm going to re-up it or not. It's going to depend on a lot of the flavor tests and how the chefs feel about it. But I'm going to have it on the web. We'll go ahead and list it on the website for you guys, for anyone who wants to trial with something new and play with something new. I know the turtle song was a really big hit, and that was a wild oyster, and it's really just rare to find these wild oysters that have this kind of texture and flavor and you know, good production quality to them. It's just the weight disappoints me a little bit. I'll be honest. I'm a little disappointed on the weight, but we'll see if we can't get those numbers up. Maybe grow on a different substrate, maybe trial it on straw, or maybe some softwood pellets or something like that. I don't know, but for now, we're gonna go ahead and list it on the website for anybody that wants to play with it. Go ahead. And I think that as far as the flavor goes, like the smell is just insane, which usually for me means it's going to be a good tasty oyster. So if you guys have any questions about it, please reach out to us and just let us know. And if you guys like this archive series, just give me a big thumbs up, please, and hit that subscribe button. That helps me most of all, and it will help you guys get updates when we're doing either live strains or announce new videos or anything else. So lost my train of thought there. Anyways, y'all, keep spawning culture.